Hello, everyone. We are live on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We are going to get started here. Welcome to the general meeting, the October general meeting of the Seminole County Democratic Party. I am going to share my screen here for just a minute, and then we will get started with our pledge. Let me see here. Oh, Larry, can you make me able to share my screen? That would be greatly appreciated. And we are going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Sue, do we have quorum?
Can I get back to you after the pledge, please?
Oh, Sue, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello? Super good.
Sue, I can hear you. Brittany, if you can't hear, she said to get back with her after the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, perfect. So we'll go ahead and do that then.
That's weird.
So sorry, there might have been some technical difficulty there. So we will get started. So I'm going to ask everybody to stand for the pledge and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please stay standing for a moment of silence. Thank you so much. Okay, so Sue, if you have that, feel free to chime in. If not, we will get going. I believe actually we need that before we do the approval.
I'm sorry, I really just need a minute. I can't count that fast.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So while Sue is counting, I'll just point out a few things. Early voting is starting on October 19th, and it is going to run through November 1st. So we are encouraging everyone to vote early or vote by mail, but if you do vote by mail, please make sure you get those ballots in early. I know several people have already returned them, and the Supervisor of Elections has confirmed that they received them and that they are all right. So we do want to make sure that you are getting them in, just so if there is any problem with it, we have time to make sure that we are curing your ballots and making sure that they get counted. We do actually do that from the party's perspective. We make sure that we reach out to anyone who has issues with their ballots, any Democrats, and we move forward so that we get what's a cure affidavit is what it's called. And so that way you get a signature, and we usually need a copy of your identification, and we help with that in addition to the outreach that the Supervisor of Elections does. We feel that more outreach is needed, so that's why we do that. Also, Election Day is November 3rd, but again, I am going to urge you all not to delay. Please vote early. Again, voting by mail, you can still request a vote by mail ballot at voteseminole.org. That is our Supervisor of Elections website. And then, of course, we do encourage you to check out our full voter guide at semdems.com/vote. Or if you just go to semdems.com, it's right there on the top of the page. So definitely check that all out. I know we're all excited about this year, and we really want to make sure that our voices are heard, our votes are counted. I think we see it as more vital than ever, and it's definitely, if you want to make change happen, you're in the right place for 2020. Seminole County is where it's at, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the evening. So Sue?
Yes, Madam Chair, I can now affirmatively state that we definitely have quorum.
Yay, thank you so much, Sue. I appreciate it. And Sue is our credentials chair. I am the chair of the Seminole County Democratic Party, and Ben here is my vice chair. So thank you guys so much. We do need a motion to approve our September meeting minutes, which were emailed out to our voting members, which are our precinct captains. A precinct captain is a person who helps organize in their district. And we have so many wonderful precinct captains. And in order to have quorum to approve these kinds of things, we do need to have a good percentage of them. So do I have a motion to approve the September meeting minutes?
I will make a motion to approve the September minutes.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, thank you, Sue and Ben. Much appreciated. And Larry, if we could go ahead and get that up on the screen. And if anybody has any comments or questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. But if not, please go ahead and vote. We have our voting members, again, are the people who are precinct captains for us. We do have some non-voting members as well. But if you are interested in becoming a precinct captain, a leader of the Democratic Party and a voting member here in Seminole County, you can email credentials@semdems.com. We're about to reset after the election. So let us know if you're interested in becoming a precinct captain after November, and we'd be happy to put you on our list to follow up with. Perfect. And our meeting minutes are approved. We have 100% yes. So thank you all so much. The motion carries and our September meeting minutes are approved. I apologize, I left voting in of new members in there, but we actually don't have any new members this month because we are in get out the vote mode, which is the next item there. So GOTV is get out the vote. And so that is often how it's referred to internally within the political sphere. So we are very excited to kind of walk you through some of the things we have going on and how you can help this time around. We also are going to be announcing information about our organizing meeting. So our organizing meeting will be for those of you who who got notarized forms done and turned in to us or to the supervisor of elections back in June. So anybody who did that will be able to vote for who the next chair will be, the vice chair, state committee man, state committee woman, parliamentarian, and secretary, I believe, correct? So I think, so we are very excited about that. Ben and I have been the chairs. I've been the chair and Ben's been the vice chair for the past couple of years. And we are actually going to be stepping down after this election. We want to share the wealth and let somebody else be in charge. You know, we are very proud of all the work we've done here in Seminole County, but we know that it takes some new energy and people diving in to really get the ball rolling and continue on this success we've had. So we will be announcing more about that as soon as we have the details about the date, time, and location. We are in the process of seeing if it will be virtual or in person and socially distanced. So we will definitely let you know. Okay, let me go to the next slide here. And I already mentioned a few of these popular things. We definitely need to make sure that we are getting out there, going early, voting early, and please be sure to drag your friends and family to the polls and make sure that they vote the whole ballot. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, next up, I wanted to announce something special that we have been working on. We did have a Riding with Biden event back in August, and it was really great. I know Ben was there, Sue was there. We were all very excited. Basically, what you do is you deck out your car in red, white, and blue. You can put political signs on it. You can put all sorts of things. And then what we do is we drive around Seminole County. So the next one we're going to do is going to be on Sunday, October 18th from 12 to 4 p.m. This is traditionally Souls to the Polls, which is usually in churches, what they do is pastors encourage their congregation to walk with them from church to the polls. But because of what's been happening with COVID, we do know that this is going to be a little altered this year. We do still hope that Souls of the Polls will continue in some capacity, but we want to make sure that we're safe about it. But we want to make sure to, actually, no, Souls to the Polls is not that day. I completely mixed that up, didn't I? I completely mixed that up. Souls to the Polls is actually usually the Sunday before Election Day. I am so sorry. But there has been lots of talk about things changing because of COVID. So we will be letting you know when we have more information about that. We have been looking at some ways to kind of move that forward, but without being in close confined quarters, because we do want to make sure that everybody is safe. But Sunday, October 18th, I was confusing my days here. So this is the day before early voting starts. There's also the day before Election Day, or the Sunday before Election Day. So those were why I was getting those things confused. So Sunday, October 18th is the last day before early voting. And so we just want to bring awareness and let people know in the county that, hey, early voting is starting tomorrow, and we have a great group of candidates. And we've got lots of our local candidates who are going to work with us and be part of this wonderful event. We are going to have a sign up, and I know information about that is actually going up on our website right now and should be on Facebook shortly too. So please be sure to RSVP and let us know that you will be there. We do expect a good crowd. In August, we did this kind of last minute. We had about 25 cars, and it was phenomenal. We drove around the Altamont Mall, we drove through downtown Sanford, and everyone stopped and cheered for us. They seemed to be just amazed that there were that many Democrats in Seminole County. It was really nice. It was a really nice event. So please mark your calendars for that. We are planning to start somewhere in the Altamont area and end somewhere in Sanford, but an exact location has not been announced yet. So we will definitely make sure that we get that out there.
So for all our precinct captains that are on the list, you make sure that you're kind of following the precinct minutes, just following us on social media and keeping an ear out for that, and also checking Mobilize as well. So we should have all that information for you guys once we get everything settled down, which should be in the next, the next couple of days.
Yeah. No, thanks, Ben. And yeah, Ben and I were at the last event, and it was really fun. Thank you to Rob Bial for organizing it last time. And he's working on organizing it with all of our wonderful candidates this time around too. So it's a great way to get to meet the candidates and to get to, for those of you who are, still in your homes and being very cautious, which, most of us should be if we are able to. This is a great way to be able to socially distance and still get out in the community and show your support for Democrats. And speaking of those local Democrats, we are very excited to have so many wonderful candidates this year. We are actually fielding Democrats in 10 seats that we did not have Democrats running in 2016. Those seats actually went unopposed in 2016. But since then, we've gotten organized, we've gotten together, and we coordinated among candidates to make sure that we are having the best showing of Democrats Seminole County has ever seen. And we have such a wonderful crop of candidates. Obviously, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are phenomenal, right? We're so excited to have them. And I have Let's Make History there because we would be making history. Not only would Kamala Harris be the first female vice president, she would also be the first person of color to be the vice president as well. So we are super excited about that. Joe Biden is only the second Catholic person to be, would only be the second Catholic president that we would have. Representative Stephanie Murphy was the first Vietnamese female U.S. House of Representatives Congresswoman. So we are so excited about that. We're going to continue to keep that going. Patricia Sigmund in Senate Seat 9, she's part of this larger group of change that's coming to Seminole County. If we get Patricia Sigmund elected in Senate Seat 9, Joy Goff-Marcel re-elected in Florida House District 30, Tracy Kagan elected in House District 29, and Pasha Baker elected in House District 28, this will be an all-female group of Democrats headed to Tallahassee from Seminole County. So Seminole County would be represented entirely by women in the Florida legislature. So that would be a historic day. Ms. Pasha Baker, as you know, is a wonderful candidate, and we are so excited. She She would not only be the first woman to hold this seat first woman in House District 28, Florida House District 28. She would not only be the first woman to hold this seat, she would also be the first person of color to hold this seat. And she would be the first woman of color to hold this seat to hold a House seat in all of Seminole County. So if you guys haven't heard, we are making history here. We're making it happen, and we're doing it because you guys are so amazing and everybody has been diving in and helping out. Christina Renteria would be our first Hispanic woman to be part of this part of our group here in Seminole County, representing the entire county. And Lynn Moira Dichter would be our first female tax collector. So we are so excited. We have so many wonderful candidates. And I should mention one more who would be making history. Last but not least, Mr. Pernell Bush. He would be the first Black County Commissioner in Seminole County's history. So we think that, this is exciting. It's also a little depressing that, it's 2020 and these are firsts. It shouldn't have to be this way, but we're about to make it happen. We're going to make sure that we flip all of these seats in 2020 in November. So next up, so we're going to mention a couple of ways that you can help get out the vote, but I just wanted to show this here. So it's GOTV, again, get out the vote. And those are some pictures just in the last couple of weeks of what we've been doing. We've been handing out voter guides. We have been putting up yard signs, giving them out to dedicated individuals. We have even had, thank you to our wonderful volunteers in Oviedo who coordinated a Riding with Biden bike parade. We were on top of the bridge in Lake Mary when the president was supposed to come to town, and he actually ended up in the hospital that night. And we are so glad that he did not come to town and spread COVID all throughout Sanford in what we know would have been a super spreader event. So many thanks to our wonderful volunteers who came out. We had such a wonderful showing up on the bridge in Lake Mary, the pedestrian bridge at the Cross Seminole Trail, and those giant Biden signs. If you haven't seen them yet, those letters are huge, and they were able to be seen from I-4. So we were very excited. Next up. So a couple of things, what we've been working on. You guys know we've been working really hard, not just this year, but in previous years. So we have got 57,700 voter guides that we have already started putting forward. You'll see in a couple bits of our budget here that we still need to pay for some of that stuff, but we have 57,700 voter guides that are going out to Democratic households. You guys might have seen them. They look a little like this, although I live in Joy Goff-Marcil's district, so mine is a little bit different. Mine has her on it, and yours may have either Pasha Baker or Tracy Kagan on it as well, depending on where you live. We've also been texting voters, and just in 2020, we have texted over 26,000 individuals. So we're mostly focused on that get out the vote mode, making sure that people are aware that when they should vote, how they should get there, and making sure that they do vote for Democrats all the way up and down the ballot. Because a lot of people do, believe it or not, a lot of people do just vote for the president and leave the rest of their ballot blank. We saw in 2018, the drop off from governor for Democrats, from governor to school board, which was at the bottom of our ballots, the drop off was about 400% between those two races. So it was a significant drop off when you looked at some of the other races. Many people still voted for the state house, but when you got all the way down the ballot to school board, people just left it blank. So that's why we want to make sure that everyone has our voter guides, that they can see who to vote for all the way up and down the ballot. We've also been doing some voter registration outreach. As you know, we were getting so close to surpassing Republicans for voter registration and here in Seminole County, and it would have been, I believe, the first time ever that we would have passed them, but we actually got within just about 1,000 more Republicans than Democrats. So we did not quite cross that threshold by the voter registration deadline. And even though, for those of you that don't know, the voter registration deadline did get extended a day because the website, the state of Florida's website crashed. So many people do think that that was either intentional or intentional negligence, and I tend to believe it. You know, I see that. I see these crummy websites that are run by the state, and I know that we have not put money in that kind of infrastructure either. In addition to, you know, our roads and our schools, we haven't put money into that infrastructure. So if we're really frustrated. I mean, Florida's been under Republican control for 20 years, fully under Republican control for 20 years. So we know that they could have fixed these things if they wanted to. And we're frustrated that it has to be, you know, outsiders coming in to help, or those of us at the party who are actually doing the voter registration, when really this should be the government working on this. So it's incredibly frustrating, but we've been working hard, and we've been out in the communities. But with COVID, obviously that put a halt to that. So we did end up sending out a little over 10,000, not quite 11,000 voter registration letters to certain areas where we believe that there were more Democrats in households than were registered. And so we sent out some informational pieces to make sure that that they got the information that was needed. So if you got one of those, that's awesome. Encourage your friends and family to continue registering to vote. It is now too late for the November election, but it is always important to continue registering voters. And you can register to vote when you are 16. You can't vote until you're 18, but you can register at age 16. So please make sure your friends, family, everybody continues to register to vote even after the election. It is so important here in Seminole. Literature drops. So we have been doing no contact literature drops. So what that means is we go door to door, but instead of doing the traditional conversations, knocking in conversations like we had been doing, we have just been leaving information. And that's because just getting people that information has been incredibly helpful. People definitely like seeing, we've gotten lots of feedback on this, that people just like seeing all of that information in one place and in one way. The ones we've been handing out are bilingual. They are English on one side, Spanish on the other. And we have been out there in the community. If you have not seen them yet, or if you have not received one in the mail, you can check out SemDems.com, again, SemDems.com or SemDems.com/vote for all of that information that we do have on our voter guides as well. And some more phone and text banking. It's kind of a variety in this group, but this one was just started in the last couple of weeks because that is specifically very hard push, get out the vote actions. So that one we are up to almost, well, a little over 2,300 phone or text banks. So when you're a precinct captain, what we like to do is have you organize in your area. So, you know, whichever kind of, it's essentially reaching out to your neighbors and making sure that they know how to vote, that they know who to vote for if they are Democrats and excited about voting for Democrats, and that making sure that they understand that voting the whole ballot is so super important. So many of our decisions are made at the county or local, you know, municipal level. And especially, I mean, adding in our state representatives, a lot of times people don't even vote for them. Like I said, they just vote for president and leave the rest blank. I know people personally who did that in 2016, and it definitely makes me want to scream. So be sure to make sure to reach out to your friends and family. If you would like to help with any of those pieces, please feel free to reach out to us. We have info@semdems.com, and our phone number is also on the website on semdems.com. We are, oh, sorry, and I have that. I left Craig's little note in there. I apologize. 13,000 postcards were sent out. So many thanks to all of you. Those were the handwritten postcards that you all did on our behalf. So what that did was that reemphasized to voters in certain areas that how important voting is and how important voting down ballot is. So that is why we were doing that. And we wanted to make sure that they got a little extra touch point. And so when you get a handwritten postcard in the mail, you read it. You might not put it on your fridge and keep it forever, but you're definitely going to read it. And so many thanks to all of you. I know there were thousands of you who wrote postcards for us to help get out the vote. And you've been part of this change.
So, I mean, as long as we've had, this situation with all of the engagement and involvement going on, we've done a lot of great work to get where we're at so far. But we have a lot more work we need to do within the next, 25 odd days until November 3rd to make sure that this county does go blue. As of right now, 49,000 people have returned their mail-in ballots. Those have been collected by the supervisor elections. You can go to voteseminole.org/trackmyballots or and check there. You can actually make sure that your ballot has been received by the supervisor of elections. I don't believe he'll be opening those until probably just before the election. I think for security reasons, they don't like opening and scanning those ballots until they actually are closer to the election date. But you can always call the supervisor elections and just verify that your ballot has been received and counted. But we still have close to 70,000 more Democrats that we need to make sure have gotten out and vote. And we have 40,000 more NPAs we've got to make sure are going to get out there and vote. The polls say that Biden's ahead. We all can feel the energy going on, but that's not what wins elections. What wins elections is votes cast and votes counted. So we all need you guys to commit to making sure that 100 Democrats in Seminole County vote. And if all of us who are on Facebook and all the people who are here in the Zoom chat can commit to making sure that 100 Democrats get out there and vote, we will make sure we will win this election. We will make sure that Seminole County, the linchpin, the most purple county in the most purple state that will decide this election, goes for Biden. But we can't do it without your help and without your support, and without you guys, calling, joining us for our literature drops, signing up to be able to call people and text them to remind them, to make sure that they have a plan to vote. By helping us drop our literature off. All of these things are incredibly important and incredibly helpful for us. And I think Brittany, actually, I'm bearing the lead a little bit. But I think Brittany's got some things about.
You're excited about it. I like the energy.
Sure, your ballot was received.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So for those of you that don't know, you can go to trackmymailballot.org. That does go directly to our supervisor of elections site in Seminole County, and you can see if your ballot was received. If it says received, then they have it, and it will be counted. We will make sure that we are following up on any issues that happen with ballots. We're already getting information about that. We check in on it daily. We have a very dedicated voter protections team who is hard at work making sure that your votes count. And so one of the reasons that I have bunny slippers, you might be asking, why are there bunny slippers on this slide? I have bunny slippers on this slide because I want you to understand that you can help in a variety of ways. These are some of the top 5 ways that you can help, but you can help from home. I know a lot of people are introverted. It's definitely hard sometimes to get on the phone, but I'll tell you, it is incredibly rewarding. When you're reaching out to Democrats, I remember in November of 2018, I was reaching out to Democrats and I called someone and I said, hey, I just wanted to make sure, what day are you going to vote? We want to make sure that you're going to vote. And they said, oh, I didn't even realize that there was an election going on. Thank you so much. And then I had that same person text me back and say, I voted because of you. Thank you so much. And they sent me a picture of their I voted sticker. And there is truly nothing more rewarding than people, thanking you, and they're thanking you for being a presence in their community. And so, I know a lot of us really miss, going out and knocking on doors when we were talking to voters. It's not the easiest job in the world, but it is definitely rewarding. And so much has been virtual this time around that we've definitely had to adjust our plan. So again, 5 ways you can dive in and help: literature drops. We have these happening every weekend day, a lot of times multiple on the same day in different parts of town. So if you go to semdems.com, you can check out our events list, and we have that on there, or you can just check it out on Facebook. We've got most of our events up on Facebook as well. We do use a system called Mobilize so that you can register so we know how many people are coming. So we would like to ask if you could register a day in advance. That would be great. We do usually have some extra literature packets. And people ask me, what is this? How can I help? My aunt called me and she said, I think I want to do something on Saturday. Can you explain to me what I would be doing? And I said, yeah, sure. So with literature drops, you literally get a list. We use a system called Van, and the phone application is called Minivan. And basically you download the app, you create a login, please write down your passwords, and then you can, or save them somewhere secure. And then you basically plug in a list that we give you, and we'll tell you exactly which doors to go to. And those have our specific targets in them. So you're not going to, for the most part, we won't be sending you to Republican homes. That's just not what we do. Our focus as the party is to reach out to Democrats and those non-party affiliated voters. Most of our Republican colleagues and neighbors who are going to be voting red have made up their minds, right? We're at this point, we're not changing those hard right minds. We are making sure that people who are likely to align with us or who don't know who to vote for are coming out and joining us. So that's why we're sending you to these specific places. The phone bank and texting, like I said, it's very rewarding. My mom has been texting this week, and she's been helping us. She actually lives in Orange County, but she's been helping us in Seminole County because she knows how vital Seminole County elections are. And so she has been texting this week, and she said, I got so many wonderful replies. She said, people were so grateful that I sent them the voter guide, and that, that they had that information in front of them. So we have been reaching out to voters nonstop. We are also handing out voter guides at early voting locations. This is one that we just recently put on our calendar, so definitely be sure to check that out. Right now we're doing it on the weekends at those early voting locations. When early voting starts, we will be doing it every single day. And early voting will be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I'll tell you, a lot of people come before or after work or on their lunch breaks. So it's going to be vital to fill those positions. So you'll get the full instructions and details on that once you sign up, but you do select which location and which time slot works for you, and we'll provide you more information. We have a wonderful coordinator for that program, and she's been working really hard to make sure all the materials are there, that it's safe, and that it's effective. So we definitely encourage you to do that. If you haven't done that, that is also rewarding. I love doing that. You guys have probably seen me. If you've been to the Castleberry Library during early voting, you have probably seen me out there dancing around and super excited. So we are very excited about that. So handing out voter guides is definitely rewarding. Driving voters to the polls, we do have a list of people who would like to help with that, but we could definitely always use more, because if there's a voter in your area, we will make sure that that you could go pick them up. I actually did this one time in the 2018 election. Now we do, want to make sure that you're safe and that the voters are safe. But we also want to make sure that every voice is heard. So I actually picked up a woman in 2018, and she said, oh, can my daughter come with me too? And I said, sure. So I took 2 voters to the polls in 2018. And the big thing here is just being a part of the community and making sure that we are a community presence, making sure that we're known. And that's what yard signs are, right? We have this joke that yard signs don't vote, but the reality is that yard signs are awareness, yard signs are a presence. And so that's part of the reason that we have been diving in. I do want to take a break here, and I would like to introduce someone special. Larry, if you could bump her up to a presenter. We do have a very special guest. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Okay, Larry, if you would not mind bumping the Congresswoman up to a presenter, we would love to hear from her today. Is that the right one? I know we had two. Oh, hello, Congresswoman Murphy. How are you?
I'm great, Brittany. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us today. I
Uh,
hear you've got some words of wisdom and
Well,
exciting
I don't know
things
if
going
there's
on.
wisdom, but I do have a few words and a little surprise announcement too. So I just wanted to thank you for having me. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, SemDems. It's so great to be with you tonight. As you all know, I am just so proud to represent Seminole County in the U.S. House of Representatives. And I also wanted to thank Brittany for her leadership. You know, serving as party chair is not an easy job, and some people might consider it to be a thankless job, but you do it with grit and grace, and we are really lucky to have you. I know I've said
Thank
this
you.
before. Oh, of course, we are lucky to have you. I know I've said this before, but when I first ran in 2016, almost no one thought I could win. I had 6% name ID, and I'm convinced that's because everyone knows a Murphy, but definitely not this Murphy. And I think I might have been 20 some points down in the polls, but you know, SemDems believed in me. And 4 months after I announced my candidacy, we defeated a 24-year Republican incumbent and sent shockwaves around this country. And since then, we have been building on that momentum. And I'm just so proud of everything we've accomplished together. And I think, you know, if COVID has taught us anything, it's that we're all in this together, but we're not exactly all in it in the same way. And we have to do everything we can to take care of one another, to keep our families safe and to beat this virus, and then rebuild and re-energize our economy. But we can't do any of that with Donald Trump and Mike Pence in the White House. We have a tough election ahead of us. You know, the stakes are high. Our democracy is at stake. Our rights are under siege. And as Michelle Obama said, we have to work and vote like our lives are on the line, because they are. And there's still a lot of work to be done. Living in the nation's largest swing state, we have a duty to our country and our party to work as hard as we can in this election. We can't wake up after election day wishing we had done more. So thank you for all that you've done and what you will do this fall. And you have my pledge to stand shoulder to shoulder with you in this fight as we elect Democrats up and down the ballot here in Florida and send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. And that is why my campaign is investing more than $200,000 to get out the vote and ballot chase in Seminole County to ensure that we elect Democrats to our state and local government. And I'm excited about the investment. I'm glad we're able to do it. We have got great candidates up and down the ballot. And with your hard work, I know we can flip Seminole County blue. So to volunteer for our campaign, please visit StephanieMurphyForCongress.com. And with that, thank you, SemDems. I hope you have a great evening, and I hope we'll be celebrating together sometime soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Congresswoman. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us tonight as well.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for letting me interrupt your important how to help campaign presentation. But I'll let you get back to it. But really excited to be working with all of you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to hop back to my PowerPoint here. And I see Ben just put in the chat Stephanie Murphy's volunteer information as well. So again, like the Congresswoman was saying, there are so many ways to get involved and help and dive in, and Seminole County is vital here in Florida, and not just in Florida, but in the United States. For those of you that haven't seen me on the news recently, I have been on every news channel recently, and everybody wants to talk about Seminole County. They want to know if I think Seminole County is going blue in November. Yes. And they want to know kind of why we're changing here. And, you know, part of it is due to changing demographics, but also there's been a backlash to Donald Trump and his policies. And the reality is that we are seeing more people either coming over from the Republican side or deciding that, you know, Democrats are just the place where they would like to be. And so we continue to hear that and to see that change. And for those of you that don't know, in 2016, Seminole County went red for Donald Trump by just a small margin. And then in 2018, Seminole County actually went blue, both for Bill Nelson and for Andrew Gillum, the progressive Black Democrat governor. So gubernatorial candidate. And we were so excited about that. That was a big change, but people still don't consider Seminole County blue until you've won a presidential election. So we know, we know that the numbers are in our favor. We know that the policies are in our favor. And we know that we're on the correct side of history here. We're working hard to make that change happen. And we haven't just been doing this for the past couple weeks. We've been working our butts off for the past 4 years. And so we've become kind of a little bit of a fine-tuned machine. Obviously, there's still room for improvement, but at this point, we're not reinventing the wheel. We've got a plan, we're ready to go, and we're sticking with it. And so all we need now is those volunteers to help and dive in and be the manpower that we know we have here in Seminole County. A couple of the questions I got while I was doing interviews, I had a longer interview on the weekly with Justin Wormuth. Lizzie, one of our volunteers, and I were on a BBC radio station in the UK. We are getting all sorts of national and international press. Rob Bial was quoted multiple times in a national ABC News article, our former chair, Rob Bial. And we've just been working really hard, and it's definitely paying off. You know, we make sure that we're working hard, but we're not just working hard, we're working smarter and harder. So that's how we know that we are going to win here in Seminole County. And yes, we want Seminole County to go blue for the president. But we also know how vital those down ballot seats are. I've mentioned this in a few occasions, but many of you know the story of our tax collector who was recently hauled off in handcuffs by federal agents for a variety of wrongdoings. And allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly, but he has been, he has just constantly been in the news for BS. And it's time that we have some ethical, some transparent, and just some kind, genuine people in office here in Seminole County. Our tax collector wasted, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, or even millions. Actually, I think the last count was 3.5 million on items he had given out to his friends, his wedding party. But for those of you that don't know that story, that's a whole nother ballgame. But we're going to get people like Moira elected to tax collector. We're going to get people like Deborah Poulalian elected to the Seminole County Supervisor of Elections, because she knows that it is wrong to say that you need to put 70 cents on your ballot for it to be turned in. And we know that our counterparts in other counties and other states think it's ridiculous that we have to put stamps on our ballot, or that we're told to put stamps on our ballot. And Deborah Poulalian has made that her #1 priority. And very close behind it has been access to voting at Seminole State. Obviously, there's access to voting on lots of universities, but Seminole State has thousands of people through there every day, and she has pushed very hard to get an early voting location there, and that has just not happened. And our current supervisor of elections just doesn't have the experience or know-how. He was recently quoted in a national news article saying that he had, before Ron DeSantis appointed him to be our supervisor of elections, he had really never heard of the job. And for me, that's not okay. That's not okay. And I know many of you feel that way as well. And we feel that some hiccups that have happened throughout this election cycle were because of that inexperience. So we want to make sure that we get people with the know-how and with genuine interest in making sure that people have the right to vote, have the right to have their voices heard, are going into those offices. So and I mean, again, Senate seat 9, if you guys have not heard about it, then you probably don't have a television. But if you've not heard about Senate seat 9, there are millions and millions of dollars going into this race. That's a state Senate seat race. It is I've heard that there's about $12 million being put into this race to get voters to vote for Senate Seat 9. And there have been so many corrupt, crazy lies from the Republican side coming out about our candidate. And for those of you that don't know Patricia Sigmund, she's just a phenomenal human being. She's been working for years on the Seminole County voter protections team. She's been working for decades, as an attorney protecting the rights of our citizens. And of course, we have Tracy Kagan, who has had multiple hit pieces out on her because she is a defense attorney. Her opposition does not believe that everyone deserves the right to an attorney. So we want to make sure that we get those people elected. And then, of course, Pasha Baker in House District 28, right? She has been working hard for the people for most of her life. She gave up her big time job in big business to come back to Seminole County and lead the museums in Sanford and Goldsboro, because she knows that that is such an important and vital job. And she is definitely going to take on the incumbent this year and beat him. So we are so excited. And of course, I can't forget Joy Goff-Marcil. Representative Joy Goff-Marcil is so amazing. For those of you that don't know, she put several great bills forth this past cycle, and which was her first cycle. We helped flip her seat in 2018 from red to blue. And she's put forth so many great bills. I remember one of the big ones that I saw was that one of the bills that she put forth, and I believe actually passed, was that if you had student loan debt, your professional license, like say you had a license to cut hair or be a plumber or something along those lines, any of those licenses, or be a nurse, that your license could not be revoked because you were late or out of money on your student loans. And so Joy Goff-Marcil has just been applauded by labor unions. She's been applauded by those of us in her district like me. And we know that we have got to send Joy back to Tallahassee come November.
So just one thing that was brought up, Brittany, is
yes,
all four of our candidates that are running in Seminole County, Patricia Sigmund, Tracy Kagan, Pasha Baker, and Joy Goff-Marcil have all been endorsed by the Orlando Sentinel, who has, again, it's not just a liberal rag. They've endorsed on both sides of the aisle across the way. I don't know why people assume that I don't like the Orlando Sentinel. That's my favorite thing I spend money on every month. But again, all four of these candidates have been put on here because people understand and people realize it's time for a change. And the way that Republicans have been running this for 20 years has been great if you have money and if you have connections and if you have everything all set and ready for you. It's great. It's not great if you are on the margins or if you are someone who has been left behind in our society. And I think we have seen that not just here in Seminole County, but statewide, with the voter election system going down, with the unemployment disaster that's happened, with the affordable housing crisis that's been going on so far this year. As horrible as this COVID epidemic has been, it has shown we need new leadership to make sure we are prepared for the future issues and problems that come on. So again, you can make this change. You can be the person that gets out there and make sure that we have the votes necessary to win in November. You can go on the Mobilize events, like we've said. You can go to semdems.com/election volunteering and find places and ways that you can get involved. We are absolutely committed to making sure that every single Democrat in Seminole County votes, and we make sure that every single voter in Seminole County knows who the Democrats are and what they stand for and what they believe in. So again, if you are tired of the chaos, if you're tired of the being let down by your local officials, if you are tired of constantly, being told too bad, so sad when life goes wrong, that is what we as the Democratic Party stand for. And that is why the candidates that we have it's so important to make sure that they get elected this November.
Definitely. Thank you, Ben. Yes, and congratulations again to Miss Pasha Baker, who actually just received her Orlando Sentinel endorsement over the income. And like Ben said, all 4 of our women who we would be sending to Tallahassee swept in the Orlando Sentinel endorsements. So we know that's not just because they're Democrats. That's not just because they're women. It's because they are the best people for the job. And we are so ready to kick some butt in November and send these women to Tallahassee, these strong individuals to Tallahassee. We're ready to do it. We're going to dive into just a couple more things here. This is going to be a shorter meeting tonight, which I know some of you are cheering about. Many thanks to all of you who've been working your butts off. I want to thank my vice chair, Ben, too. He's been working his butt off for the past 4 years, right alongside me, him and his wife, Tiffany, and they have just been powerhouses in the Seminole County Democratic Party.
Brittany, as we were kind of rallying and cheering on, I want to make sure we're also talking about our city council. I mean, we've talked about our county commissioners and everyone else.
Good point.
But one thing specifically, I think we need to make sure we bring attention to is there's definitely been a lot of dirty tricks and a lot of dirty games. You know, the Republicans are terrified right now, and they're playing all sorts of dirty tricks. Everyone knows about all the games that all of Jason Broder's friends have done against Patricia Sigmund. I'm sure it wasn't Jason Broder. I'm sure it wasn't his friends. It was obviously some other random person who just was terrified of Patricia Sigmund winning.
Hey, Ben, did you get that newspaper that came out in the mail?
You know, I think that was missed on my part for some reason. I can't imagine why. Maybe it's because I don't like hate groups. But anyway.
You might have to explain what we're talking about, just so
if you're concerned, if you're wondering why, if you're starting to think it's crazy and no political party would ever want to have a verified hate group in their mailers, again, the Orlando Sentinel is an amazing local magazine or newspaper that you should all be subscribed to because they have great stories in there.
However, the Seminole Gazette is a fake newspaper put out by the Seminole County Republican Executive Committee. So the Seminole County Republican Party put out a newspaper that was basically, it looked like a newspaper, but if you looked closely on the second page, there was little fine print that said that this was produced by the Seminole County Republican Party. And not only did it have just all sorts of things about how great these Republican candidates are, but it also had a verified hate group as one of their sponsors. And we've found all sorts of various bizarre ties to people who funded this event, as well as I think this was probably what Ben was going to bring up here, as well as people who were bashing candidates like Chad Albritton for Castleberry City Council. Chad has recently been maligned nonstop in the newspaper. And I've even gotten some hateful messages from Democrats saying, how could you support Chad? And when I ask them, you know, what their issues are, and they explain to me that they have come across fake information, I say, okay, you need to stop and check this out. Let's explain. So there were some things that have gone out talking about how Chad has ties to the Russians and all sorts of things. But if you've ever met Chad, you would know that's not true. If you talk to Chad, which I encourage you all to go on his website and check out Chad Albritton, he is just a phenomenal human being, and he is in this for all of the right reasons. And we strongly stand behind Chad in his bid for Castleberry City Commission. Some of our other wonderful candidates. I didn't know if you wanted to dive in and just mention a couple of them.
I mean, I think, like I said, we have so many great candidates across the board. We have 3 great, we have in our county commissioners, we have 3 great candidates. You know, Katrina Shaddix, Pernell Bush, and Kim Buchet are all 3 amazing candidates that are really committed to making sure that we keep Seminole County, the Seminole County we want to live in, from protecting the environment, increasing affordable housing, increasing access to services that we need. These are all things that are incredibly important. Deb Pullian, I think you've already talked about all of the executive committees and how great they are on Jim Mitchell in Winter Springs and Omar in Lake Mary. again, there are so many great candidates. I think it would take us a long time to go through all of them, which is why we have our voter guide. So you can go through, you can read about them, find out who the Democrats are, do your research, and make sure that you provide an informed example.
Yes. There's one more I want to mention as far as city commission goes.
Yes.
Of course, Miss Jocelyn Williamson is running in Oviedo, which is a tough district, but if anybody can do it, it's her. And we are standing strong behind her. Her mom, Miss Deb Jepson, is our fundraising chair and taught at Oviedo High School for a very long time before retiring. And Jocelyn and her husband, David, are just, you know, you want to talk about powerhouses in Seminole County. These two could fix the world if you let them. So we're so excited to have such great candidates running. I mean, we really do have the best slate of candidates that we've ever had. And I mentioned earlier that Seminole County hasn't been blue, right, for a very long time. And it recently came out that Seminole County has not gone blue for a presidential election since 1948. So talk about making history. We are ready to go.
No pressure, guys.
So again, whatever you can do to make a difference, I tell people this all the time, even if you can only volunteer for 1 hour, that could make the difference in these vital, super close elections. Katrina Shaddix, when she ran for county commission in 2018, her race actually went to a double recount because I believe it was less than 0.5% difference between her and the person who ended up winning. And that was in an off-year election. And that was when Democrats were outnumbered by, I want to say it was still about 8,000 or 9,000. So we know that we have the numbers, but we have to make sure that everybody votes and everybody votes down ballot. So please, even if you just want to drag a friend, I drag my boyfriend to go to all of our canvassing events, and our lit dropping events, and he's very appreciative of it. It's not something he would do on his own, but it's nice to be able to get out there and make a difference. So I wanted to just do a brief financial update. Is Scott Alfano on the call? If so, he can do this piece. Oh, and I left one blank. I'm sorry. I meant to put some of those pieces in there. I apologize. If Scott is on, he can do an update. If not, I'll start giving the update. So our September start, we started with a little over $66,000 in the bank, 66,771, which was, that's about where we had expected to be. And so we were very excited about that. We've been fundraising really hard. Those of you that know Deb or Sheila or Madra or Jean, you probably have heard of all about the gala that we were going to have that didn't end up happening because of COVID, but we've been working hard to make sure that we raise the funds needed to get out that vote and make this happen in November. So, and I actually put spent in there, but that is incorrect. I apologize. That is completely wrong. I am so sorry. This is what happens when your treasurer doesn't complete it, but your chair completes the financial piece. I'm sorry. I was trying to copy over all his notes. So we, that says spent. Actually, what that means is that is where we ended up at the end of the month, was $89,631. So again, the 66,000 was about where we expected to be for this time, but the 89,000 definitely surprised us, and in a good way. We did have quite a few extra donations that came in, as well as receiving the money from the state. We do get a portion of the filing fees from any Democratic candidate in a county commission race or any kind of county-wide race. So we received those funds, and it actually boosted us up to about 89,000. So some of the things that we have been spending money on, we've already spent a little over 11,000 on some materials and outreach directly. We had some expenses for things like directly reaching out to voters. I don't think we needed any clipboards, but I know we definitely needed some other things. So the, oh, no, sorry, that was, I'm mixing them up here. So the $2,234 was finishing off our full our full bathroom and office renovation piece so that we now have an accessible bathroom in our office, which was one thing that we all as precinct captains voted on back at the beginning of the year. We wanted that to happen. So our new office, which we are in for 3 years, has a beautiful new bathroom that is actually functional and accessible, you know, for our friends who are in wheelchairs or needing to use walkers and et cetera. We did do some postcard outreach. The bulk mail, actually, I am so sorry, I had that in there before, but all of our postcards that you guys have handwritten have gone out. And that was the financial, the financial piece of that was through our bulk mail postage. The mailers and postcards, so far we have spent, on actual mailers, we have spent a little over $10,000 so far. That is not the brunt of what we are going to be spending. So those next bills are going to be coming in soon. But again, that was in September. For copies, we had about a little over $1,600, almost $1,700 in just copies in September. And most of that was the second we got those voter guides, we wanted to make sure that they were in the hands of voters. So that's the vast majority of what we did there. Also in the mailers, there wasn't actually, I believe there was actually an additional piece. I have to double check, but I think the additional piece was about a little under $3,000 for that voter outreach right before the deadline. We did make sure that we got that information in the hands of households who we thought might have more Democrats that needed to register to vote. Ink and other supplies specifically for Get Out the Vote comes to a little over $3,000. It's not all ink, I promise. We do make sure that we are spending that money correctly. And then our digital ads and social media have started, but the brunt of the financial piece has not come in on that yet. So I just wanted to make sure that I put that in September since those have started. Then if you're keeping an eye on the chat, I just want to make sure if there's any questions on pieces here. I do have the next slide as well with some financial updates.
So far, so good. I think
Okay.
I think someone was just asking about a profit and loss, which I think any of our precinct captains can email our treasurer for and get a copy of it at any time, because we have to report, it's all public record anyway, so they can just go to the state.
Yes, so we do file reports during reporting times for the party, and so you can definitely see all of our financials. Everything is public record, and it's all available through the supervisor of elections and through the state elections as well. So definitely check it all out. We do have to track everything carefully, and then we actually have to do an audit every year as well. So luckily we've been able to keep that cost down and keep it moving. Some upcoming expenses. As I mentioned, that piece that we did for mailers, we are actually going to have a much bigger chunk coming. So that is where a lot of that is going to go. We will have more copies, even though a good chunk of it has actually already been paid end of September. I think it was actually beginning of October. We are going to need more supplies. We're going to go heavy on digital ads. That's one of the things that with this added money that we were able to raise, we're going to help, you know, specifically for our candidates and outreach in the area. We are expecting about $5,000 in digital ads outside of social media advertising. So social media advertising can be scaled as needed, and it has already started. We're doing some very targeted social media ads, and we are looking at potentially upping that as well. So you'll definitely be seeing that on our October report as well. Again, office supplies, anything that's needed to keep things moving in our office. Many thanks to Kathy, who's been coordinating all of that, and to all of our office leads and our office volunteers. thank you for staying safe and for all that you've been doing to make sure that voters have a place to go for information, for signs. And many thanks to the Biden office, the volunteer office that we have that has the big Biden-Harris sign in Sanford near the Sanford Library. Those guys have been working their butts off, and all their volunteers there have been working hard as well to help get out the vote. Also, robocalls. Many of you may have received a robocall. We asked Ms. Deborah Poulalian to record a robocall, and they went out yesterday and today should have gone out to individuals who are registered to vote. You can expect more of those. If you vote, you will be crossed off from our list and not be harassed. So that is why we would like you to go ahead and vote as early as possible so that we don't need to spend any resources on reaching out to you. Also, we have placed a couple newspaper ads. We are looking at partnering up with some other counties as well, but I do want to mention a couple that we have already placed. We placed some ads with the Sanford Herald, and we have also placed an ad with the Orlando Times, which is distributed in churches actually in 4 counties. And so what our goal there is to make sure that people are aware and turn out the vote and tell their friends in Seminole County. A good chunk of those newspapers do go into Seminole County as well. So it was definitely a much more targeted newspaper than some of the larger ones. We are looking at the larger ones though. We definitely love, supporting the Orlando Sentinel and things like that. So, and then in addition, we did actually, this is some of our added financial returns as well. We were able to reserve 2 billboards within Seminole County that are a little bit more targeted to who we were trying to reach. So many thanks to our team who did all the research on that and drove all around the county and coordinated that and designed it and got it all done very fast. So we tell you all this because our goal is to be transparent, and precinct captains, you can reach out to me or Ben or our treasurer directly if you have questions. But we do want to let you know that our expected ending balance after the November election, we do expect to be under $5,000 in the bank account. And the reason that we do that is because we want to make sure that any money you donate goes directly to voter outreach and getting our candidates elected. That's what we've told you from the beginning, is we're going to help and we're going to make it happen here in Seminole County. And that's what we've been working hard for the past 4 years. It's all going to come down to November 3rd. And, I've been really emotional about it. I'll tell you that. I'll be very honest. It's been a long time coming, and I'm ready to do it, and I'm ready to get it done. And I dove in and started helping actually after the 2016 election. I had actually never even volunteered, never donated to a candidate. I didn't understand. And so after the 2016 election, I dove in and just got involved. And many thanks to all of my political mentors who helped me show me what we needed to do to make this happen. And so our goal here is to spend that money and spend it wisely. If you can donate more, please, by all means do. I'd also like to encourage you to donate directly to our candidates. They really, they could really use it. It's coming down to the wire. They will need these funds in order to send out their final mailers or do their targeted Facebook ads or, get more copies of their door hangers printed, that kind of thing. So definitely, if you have an office or you have a person that you really like and you think that they need that help to go further, by all means, please donate to them, donate to us, share with your friends and family, especially those in blue states. I want to just give a big shout out to Larry Furlong and his wonderful daughter. For those of you who've met Larry, he is retired and he has been delivering our yard signs all over the county along with several other volunteers. And Larry actually got his daughter in Southern California involved in fundraising for us as well. And I believe we're close to $1,000 brought in just from California. So, so thank you, Larry. Thank you to your daughter. We appreciate all of your efforts. And I'd encourage all of you, send our links to your friends and family outside of the state. Our entire goal here is to get candidates elected. Many of you that are on probably know we are 100% volunteer organization. While the Biden campaign can hire some staffers, and each of the campaigns might hire some staffers, we at the Seminole County Democratic Party are just 100% volunteer. Ben and I both have day jobs, and we squeeze this in after the fact. So thank you to everyone who has been diving in. And I think this is actually a good segue to this next piece here. Activist of the Month. We've been doing this for a while now, and we feel like this is usually a really good way.
Hey, Brittany.
Yep.
I'm sorry to do this real quick. Quick before we do the Activist of the Month part of it. We were talking about the, can I show for the small counties small counties caucuses or?
Oh yeah, go for it, definitely.
So one thing that we have, we wanted to kind of mention as well. I'm not trying to say that we don't need the help here in Seminole County. We definitely have, a huge fight. Again, we've talked for the last hour about how big a fight this, the next 20+ days are going to be. But some of our smaller county, smaller Democratic counties, Putnam County, Manatee County, kind of those smaller ones, they actually pull their money together to have a small counties caucus. So I'm putting in the chat right now, just do you have an Act Blue going on? And that is for the small, like I said, the small county caucuses. They can't really do a lot of the outreach and fundraising. And there was a time that we were a small county caucus. So we, they definitely have let everyone know they're still trying to get the fight out. It's going to be hard for Putnam County to go blue, but every vote that they can turn out for Biden is going to make sure that this state goes for Biden. So we want to make sure that we support them as well. So if you maxed out to every candidate in Seminole County and you're just tired of giving us money for some reason, I don't know why. I have put the Act Blue in the chat as well. So you can go ahead and give support, give them some support as well and provide some services for them as well. So just wanted to give that quick plug.
No, thank you, Ben. And, that's one of the big things is these small counties don't have necessarily the resources to put together a voter guide or to mail a voter guide. This is actually the first time we have ever mailed a voter guide. And we are so glad that we did, in this kind of quantity. And it's really making a huge impact. And if we could do that all across the state, we know that Florida would definitely go blue, not just for Biden, but up and down the ticket. So like Ben said, the Small Counties Coalition is so important as well. And thank you for stopping and making that plug, Ben. I really appreciate that. They're working on just kind of basic things like money for copies for their voter guide and things like that. So it's really great that they've all banded together to make this happen. And for those of you that don't know, Ben and I are part of a larger group of the chairs across the county, across the state. And we coordinate with each other. Sometimes we feel that, some campaigns might not be doing enough. So we feel like we have to dive in and help. And so that's where we have a team. I often say, if I thought that we were the only county working this hard and doing this much, I'm not sure I could do it because I know that it takes a lot more than that to make it happen. And thank you to all of our volunteers and thank you to everyone who's diving in. And if you're watching this from outside of Seminole County, thank you for all that you've done and all that you're going to do. And we appreciate everyone, and we know that every single vote counts. Unlike we've got our Republican counterparts who want to suppress votes, we just want to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. So with that, I'm going to just mention our activists of the month. And you'll notice I said activists. It's because there are actually 2 this month. We usually only give this out to one person, but I will tell you there was a little bit of a knockdown, drag out fight at our board meeting where we decide who the activist of the month could be. And everyone said, we have to recognize these two people. So first I'd like to mention someone who really reached out to us. She wanted to get involved, and she had a background in some of the things that we were looking for with volunteer coordination and whatnot. And she really just dove in and started to get involved. She is involved in other activities as well. We are not her only activity, but she has been working her butt off, welcoming all of our new volunteers, making sure people understand and know how to get involved. And so with that, our first activist of the month is Miss Marianne Feldheim. So congratulations, Marianne. We will have a certificate for you at our office in Longwood. So thank you for all you're doing and all that you've done. We really appreciate you. The second person we would like to recognize this month is, well, actually, I'll lead up to it a little bit. So this person, he's just incredibly passionate about Seminole County. And I think a lot of that passion comes from knowing how important Senate Seat 9 is. He really just dove in. I'll tell you, he actually doesn't even live in Seminole County, but he is aware that this is where the change needs to happen if you want to see change in Florida and if you want to have a better future for your family. And so he dove in and he just helps out wherever he can. I mean, I'm not even sure I can list how many ways he's helped. I mean, he helped with our silent auction, with fundraising. He's been writing email campaigns for us. He actually has been leading our calling for dollars from donors. And he's been coordinating all of that, a program that we have been working for 4 years to get off the ground. He was able to make it happen. He does trainings with our team who calls for donations every weekend. Mr. Denny Troncaso. So Denny, thank you for all that you've done. And we are excited that you are expecting a little one in the near future as well. So thank you, Denny, and thank you, Marianne. You guys are amazing. We have so many amazing volunteers. We just like to take a moment and recognize a few of you. So thank you all. And if you want to become an activist of the month, there is still time. We will definitely have more things happening. I do want to mention we have making phone calls for gift cards challenge. So we're in that get out the vote mode. We have been doing a $25 gift card donation. We have some special donors who have been doing this on our behalf or doing this for us. And so if you make over 100 phone calls in a week, we will look at who's made the most phone calls, and we will actually mail you a gift card to somewhere special, whether it's Target or Starbucks or something along those lines. I think we're doing Visa gift cards recently, but if you dive in and help out, we just want to give you a little extra thank you, a little extra incentive. And make sure that you're recognized in some way. So we know that it goes a long way. Sometimes during COVID, we know that there's been a lot happening. So we just wanted to say thank you for all of you and all the time that you've been doing. We know that our volunteers are the lifeblood of this organization, and we really, literally could not do it without you. So thank you, thank you. I did want to mention, we do have amendment information on our website as well, semdems.com/vote. And I do want to encourage all of our Democrats to say yes on 2. Amendment 2 is the fair wage amendment, and that will be bringing our wages up to $15 minimum wage here in Seminole County. And this is just such a vital piece to our economy here in Florida, in Central Florida specifically, where we know that most of our economy is based around tourism or service work. And we want to make sure that those people are receiving a fair wage, that each of us receives a fair wage, because we know that, we know how difficult it is to live on even more than $15 an hour. So we know that there are families out there who are working full time, two parents working full time, and they still qualify for so much in aid. And it's just we really want to make sure that everybody has a fighting chance here in Florida. And a fair wage is definitely a good start. We know that there's a lot further to go, but this could really help so many people and so many families. And, when I think about these kinds of things, I always think about children and how, children really, they are the ones who end up, suffering or not having the ability to, get fed unless it's through school lunches and things like that. And so I want to make sure that we all vote yes on 2. We did put out our amendments on that we voted on in the last couple months. We put those on our voter guide. So again, just reminding everyone here, we said no position on 1, minimum wage increase is number 2, yes on 2, no on number 3. That is because it's often being confused for a open primary, but we do want to make sure everyone understands that if we had that in place in 2018, our choices for governor would have been between Republican Ron DeSantis and Republican Adam Putnam. So we want to make sure that everyone understands that these are not open primaries, and this is not ranked choice voting. This is not, I think most of us are pretty annoyed by the 2-party system at this point, but unfortunately, amendment number 3 is not the answer. Also, the second vote requirement, number 4, this is essentially another form of voter suppression. This requires the people to pass an amendment twice before actually it goes into effect. So that would have meant Amendment 4 that we all voted on last time around, the other Amendment 4, the good Amendment 4 from last time, that would mean that one wouldn't have gone into effect unless we had voted on it a second time. And we all know that these Republican legislators are trying to stop the people from being heard. And this is how they're going about it. They can't do it fair, so they do it dirty. And they do it by putting out a newspaper that looks like a newspaper, that looks like an information source, when it's really political garbage. We see it in ads where Jason Brodeur is saying that Patricia Sigmund took PPP money when she in fact did not do any of these things. It was actually and it says give it back, and she never even took it in the first place. It's been debunked by the Orlando Sentinel. It's been debunked by the news. It's been debunked in her debates. And then of course I'm going to mention Chad Albritton again, who in Castleberry, who has been slammed with a variety of bogus negative mailers. They've taken out ads in local papers to make sure that people think that Chad is not the right candidate, when in fact he is, and he would be taking over for someone who has been in that seat for far too long. So amendment number 5 is the same Save Our Homes amendment. We did not take an official position from the party, but I do encourage you to read through it and check out information both from the League of Women Voters and the Orlando Sentinel. And then amendment 6 is the Veteran Surviving Spouses Homestead Exemption. So we did vote yes on that one as well. So just wanted to bring those up. Again, check out our full voter guide at semdems.com/vote. I know we have been getting a lot of questions about judges. Unfortunately, we're not openly supporting or disapproving of any of the judges on the ballot on behalf of the party. I do encourage you to reach out to your friends and family to see if they know them. We do have some information on our website, as well as links to things like the Florida Bar, which is where you can find these individuals and their backgrounds. If they've ever gotten in trouble for anything, you can see what it is. So we definitely encourage you to check that out there. And remember to go vote early. This is go time, people. It's time to go. Ben, do you have anything else you'd like to say for our last general meeting before the election?
Just a general reminder for people, the sooner you vote and the sooner your vote gets into the supervisor elections, the sooner you get taken off of all of those call lists. So if you are one of those people that I have texted yelling at me to stop because you're tired of all these texts, I'm sorry. We will stop. The 13 other organizations that are trying to make sure you vote aren't until you vote. So please, for the love of God, go out there and vote. If not for me, if not for the country, for yourself, until you'll stop getting all these annoying text messages.
Yes. And we know that this election is so vital. So please, anything you can do to help in any way, dive in, make it happen. Talk to your friends, talk to your family. There is nothing that would change someone's mind more than their friends and family discussing these items and these votes with them. We've heard from so many people that they actually sit down as a family and discuss things and fill out their ballots together, just sitting around a dining room table. And I think that's just so nice and such a great way to encourage long-term voting in your families. Thank you so much. Our next meeting, we are currently planning to be live and on Zoom, Facebook Live and on Zoom. Currently, if that does change, we will let you know, but we will definitely stream it one way or another, even if we do end up for some reason being in person. But stay tuned for updates that will be happening throughout the election and throughout early voting. But please go ahead, dive in, sign up for some shifts, sign up to help. I know lots of us work during the week. So if you're working during the week, maybe do something in the evenings, do something on the weekends. Again, anything you can do. If you can make phone calls on your lunch break, that might change the election. I mentioned our county commission candidate, Katrina Shaddix, lost by just about 0.5% of a vote in 2018. It was like 450 votes countywide. We have 300,000 voters here in Seminole County. And so any little thing you can do will make a difference in November. I know no matter what happens in November, I know that I have poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this. And I hope you feel the same way, because we're going to get it done and we're going to make sure that things go well. So thank you so much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Tiffany
Thank you.
Jenkins, seconds.
Tiffany Jenkins seconds. Okay, thank you, Tiffany. And all in favor, please vote. If not, please vote no. Ben, any other questions while we're, sorry, I apologize. When I'm presenting, I can't see the,
No, and somebody just said Tracy Kagan lost by 1,500 votes. That's not correct. She lost by 1,200 votes. Lee and House District 28 lost by 1,500 votes. So
okay.
it's
Very
again,
close. It was very close.
1 or 2%.
And 2% in House District 28 and 29. 1% and 2%. We didn't even have a Democrat run for 20 years in House District 28 before the 2018 election. And we, of course, flipped Christine Krause's seat in 2018 as well. So we're so excited to have her on the school board. And I see 96% voted yes to adjourn and 4% voted no. I will happily stay on the call after we end if anybody has questions or would like to discuss things with me. Larry, if you would stop the recording and stop making it live, we are adjourned. And if you would like to go ahead and do that,